An unanimous decision by the three-member panel led by Justice Hamma Barka. The appellate court affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja which outlawed the Ipob. According to the court, the FG acted lawfully by prescribing the organization whose activities threatened the nation's security and continued existence. It resolved all the issues against the Ipob and dismissed its appeal for want of merit. The late former Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Abdul Kafarati, had in a ruling he delivered on September 15, 2017, outlawed the activities of the Ipob in Nigeria. The prescription order followed an ex parte motion the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, filed on behalf of the federal government. Specifically, Justice Kafafati declared as illegal all activities of the group, particularly in the southeast and south-south regions of the country. He further restrained any person or group of persons from participating in any of the group's activities. The organization, in its appeal, which it filed through its team of lawyers led by a senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, Mr. Chukwuma Machuku Ume, urged the appellate court to set aside in its entirety the ruling final decision of the High Court. It alleged that the then AGS had suppressed the misrepresented facts in the affidavit evidence he tendered before the court. I'm going to ask you a quick question here concerning the Ipob. The fact that the appeal court has actually affirmed the Ipob group as a terrorist group. I'm sure you're aware of what has been going on in the southeast for a very long time, with reasons that they are seeking for the Nnamdi Kanu return and release. That is another way of ending the amalgamation, or what's the word to use? The Biafran sets being recognized as a particular part of the country. They're refusing, in their words, refusing to be part of Nigeria. They want to be given their own call. Do you, in your sense, take them to be terrorist group, as the appeal court has actually affirmed them to be, because of how they have turned out to be? In an instance, if we look at it, I am not going to make a statement, but we have seen instance, first off, from the sit-at-home order, how they have started to implement it, making sure that no business, no school, no any organization opens on Monday. In that instance, are you supposed to put that as a welcome development because they are trying to get the attention of the government? I want to get your thoughts about this, please.
Okay, I think the unity or one Nigeria we practice or we talked about is just on the paper and it's not practical. We talked about one Nigerians. We say we want to believe in one Nigeria. Nigeria is one. It's actually, in the practical aspect, is Nigeria actually one? In my own sense, in my own opinion, I would tell you Nigeria is actually not one. So let's stop deceiving ourselves about one Nigerians. We have a lot of mining going on in the north, and the north are taking responsibility of their mining. And the federal government agency is not doing anything about it. Federal government of Nigeria is not talking about it, and they're not saying anything about it. We have the Northwest Development Commission that is ongoing, that nobody, we don't even hear about them. They are not on the news any day. They keep doing their thing, and they are enjoying what they are doing. So I think it is actually not good on the side of the federal government to actually label the Ipob as a terrorist group without adding the Fulani herdsmen and Boko Haram. So if you want to call Ipob terrorist group, so what happened to Boko Haram? What happened to the Fulani herdsmen? Because whether you like it or not, what is the core or the position of the Fulani herdsmen? What is the position of Boko Haram? At least the IPOB have a position, and they said this is our position. We don't want to be part of Nigeria again. So I think the best that would have happened is that as federal government of Nigeria, try a way of inclusivity and how you can include them in, and let all Nigerians, let this part of this sixth geopolitical zone of this country come together as one. We have the Niger Delta. Now the NDDC in Niger Delta, the Niger Delta Commission in in Port Harcourt, which also was part of the Ogoni struggle, is now being seen as a general platform where those from the north, those from the east, those from all parts of the world come to make recognition and also have the appointment, get contracts, and nominate staffs and aides. Now, why is it not the same in what is going on in the north? That's the question. It's not as if I am against one Nigeria. I am not against one Nigeria. But there's a saying that goes this way. What is worth doing? What is worth doing is worth doing well. So if you want to do a thing, why don't you just embark on it and then make it proper? I think Bola Tinubu is doing well, seriously, because he's trying to make us understand that 2027 should be a case like the case of USA, United States of America, where a sitting president lost out for an incoming president. So I think it will be a good one for us to have it in Nigeria. At least we've got it before. So if it happens again, it will not be a surprise, because at least in Nigeria we have seen a case where a sitting president lost out for an incoming president. That's the case of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and that of Muhammadu Buhari. So if he also repeats again on the side of Bola Tinubu, and then for whoever that is coming, we'll also be glad that at least Nigeria in that aspect is practicing some level of democracy, because that's totally democracy. So that's what we envisage, because Mr. President cannot claim ignorance.
Is Nigeria practicing democracy as it stands? Well,
that's what we say we are practicing. That's why I said most of the things that we are doing in Nigeria is on just for the paper. It is not practical, because if actually it was practical, I believe that Mr. President Bola Tinubu would have carefully looked at the level of sentiment, the tribal sentiment that is going on in Nigeria. But what is playing out at this point in time is tribal sentiment and not governance. We should think of governance and not politics and cyber or tribal sentiment. It's becoming a major challenge that we're having. The Yoruba speaking for the Yoruba, the Igbos speaking for the Igbos, the Middle Belt speaking for the Middle Belt, the Ogoni speaking for... I think it's only Ogonis that are speaking for the whole world.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
we'll go back to this topic of discussion. I made mention about the sit-at-home order that has been implemented by the indigenous people of Biafra, whereas oftentimes they use violent force to implement this, destroying shops, taking lives. We've had cases of vigilante men being shot. The police and the IPOB, alleged IPO, because there has been cases that most bandits come in and states that they are the IPOB people, and we've had fire exchange going on in the southeast oftentimes, and at some point people stopped going home. Even during the Christmas period, some people said they weren't going home because of the whole issue that has been going on. So in that essence, if we say that this is where the appeal court is looking at to tag the IPOB as a terrorist group, do you say that is wrong?
I think you cannot look at it from that perspective.
Okay.
Because it is only their own way of making their request known.
So it's okay to make a request known violently. We know that
the process was not violent.
Trying to gain attention.
The process wasn't violent.
Okay.
The intention was not violent. The reason why the sit-at-home was actually, in my own sense, I'm not speaking for the Igbos, I'm not holding brief for the IPOBs, I'm not holding brief for Nnamdi Kanu. But what I'm saying is, the intention in my own perspective was not violent. It was just to let government know that yes, every Monday nobody should come out, as a means or as a result of trying to gain government attention or the federal government attention. If those that are forcing themselves to come out and then they force them to go back, that is what the problem is. And the only challenge I have too is that those using that route to travel should be allowed to travel. That's it. Those trying to use the federal government route to travel should be allowed. Those traveling within the east should be allowed. That's where I have challenge. There were oftentimes we hear a series of issues where a lot of vehicles that was traveling from either using Port Harcourt to Abuja using the east was actually apprehended and some life was lost. That's where I think it is not totally right. But it is about sit at home and stay at home and then observe Monday as a non-violent way of protest. It's actually a non-violent means of protest, because if I ask you not to come out and you don't go out to do anything, you don't go out to comment or to foment any trouble or go out to look for troubles, then it is fine. In Ogoni, where I come from, we said we are no longer comfortable with the oil exploration that was going on in Ogoniland with Shell. That Shell has operated in Ogoniland for complete 50 years and there was no positive impact on the life of the people. Instead of impact, we are having a devastating response that was negatively on the people, or was negatively impacting the life of the people. And then at this time, we said we don't need Shell again. We went about all pipeline vandalization, which chased Shell away from Ogoniland and said our gas and our oil should not be given out again. And now if federal government of Nigeria, like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, say he wants to come to Ogoni to start oil resumption or oil resumption in Ogoniland, it shouldn't be by force. It shouldn't be by him trying to take it by force, because the people are protecting their own economy. And we said this is our condition. What we are supposed to do is to look at the condition. So what is the position of the IPOB? If they say they don't want to continue as one Nigeria again, I should think that government should call for a roundtable engagement discussion. That is what is expected. The Alias Ndebo, which actually come from Rivers currently, congratulations to you. Now, I think it should be a good approach or a good start for the federal government of Nigeria to call for a robust meeting upon which even Nnamdi Kanu that is also in prison should have been set free by now. This is part of the call. If maybe you release Nnamdi Kanu as a government, if you decide to say, okay, from now you are going to release Nnamdi Kanu and then invite the same man and say, look, this is the reason or the condition upon which we are releasing you. Please go home and talk to your people. Go home and think of how you can bring your people to a roundtable discussion on the way forward. If the man is accusing you that you don't mean well for the country, if the man is accusing you that you should do well, if the man is criticizing your policy, criticizing your style of governance, it's better, can't you improve on it? Instead of improving on it, you want to arrest him. How many persons will you arrest? We came out last year to protest for hunger protest. You arrested innocent citizens and said nobody should be given opportunity to speak. Meanwhile, you and Wole Soyinka was the same person. Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Wole Soyinka was the same person that protested when we were buying fuel at a very lower rate against the then president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. You protested that Goodluck was not allowing the poor to breathe. Now, you, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, are you allowing the poor to breathe? The question or the answer is no. Because if you are not allowing the poor to breathe and you don't want to see protests, you don't want anybody to protest, you don't want anybody to criticize your policy, you don't want anybody to criticize your style of governance, and you think it will be well for all Nigerians, no, it means you, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have us all to killed. That's what it means. So if you feel that the style you are using is not good, then change it. If you are criticizing your style you are using in terms of governance, change it. Release Nnamdi Kanu. Instead of calling what they call IPOB as a terrorist group, I think the best would have done is first to listen to Kanu, invite him first for a private discussion, then give him a task of going back home to invite all the stakeholders in Igbo, including the Deputy Speaker of the House of Rep, and who was the former spokesman of House of Rep, Benjamin Kanu, and all stakeholders, Oji Kanu and the rest of them, call all the stakeholders, all the who and who that is from Igbo, invite them for a roundtable meeting, and then ask for the way forward. Go to Yoruba land, because now looking at it, how many Yorubas do we have having this kind of problem? We had recently on the news, I don't know how true it is, about Sowore that is from the Yoruba land. We can see how he's talking freely. We can see how he's criticizing government and he's talking freely. I'm not saying they should go arrest him, but I'm trying to say that this is a level of difference.
Yeah. They gave him a 10 million naira bail conditions.
Now, but he has been given a bail approval. Now, what happens to the case of Nnamdi Kanu? Why can't you set him free to go back and reunite with his people, call on the people that he's actually supporting, or his people that he's representing, or he's speaking on their behalf, and say, let's have a robust meeting, discuss the terms of engagement, discuss the inclusive aspect of it, and then think of how you can be able to use the opportunity to leverage for 2027. That's if you have a good intention for 2027. Thank you so much,
and that's Mr. Oscar. Well, I'd love to say something in this instance, in as much as I know I should not have a statement. Peace is priceless and terror is senseless, if I can use that word. The IPOB are trying to make a statement, they are trying to be heard, but using a violent means is actually not a necessary aspect of it, if you may ask me. I'm sorry, in as much as, yes, you made a statement from the beginning that what about the Boko Haram Fulani headsmen, and the new group they call the Lakurawa group that have been terrorizing the north for a very long time. Why have they not been put in? Why has so much attention not been put in that aspect? Nobody is going to cite the fact that the IPOB should use a violent means to get the attention of the federal government, but that should not be enough reason to put them as a part of the terrorist group. I think the necessary thing should be, the needs to be done here. The IPOB have actually gone out of line by killing, like I stated. There have been cases where lives have been taken, businesses have been destroyed, investment have actually started leaving the states, as some of the states as it stands, and this is really not good for the economy as it stands, and the right step needs to be taken in this instance. But instead of looking at the IPOB as a terrorist group, like you made mention of, why not have a roundtable situation with them and find out why this is going on and put a stop to it, and as soon as it can be taken. And I made mention of some bandits that actually take the place of the IPOB and say, we are the indigenous people of Biafra, we're trying to be heard, this is why we're doing this. And the IPOB on the other hand are saying, these people are not part of us. So there has just been a contradiction in that essence. And I just feel like we should have peace in all of this, because the people that get affected here are the innocent citizens, the people that really don't have a hand in this situation, if you may ask me.
See, I think, like we said earlier, federal government of Nigeria or the government of Nigeria has never been fair in terms of governance, has not been fair in terms of welfare of the people. Because if the federal government of Nigeria was actually sincere, very sincere, the first approach will have actually look at what is the Boko Haram, what is their core, like I said earlier, what are they fighting for, what are they killing for. Now, the people of IPOB, the Igbos, or the people of the East, felt marginalized, felt that this government or this part of the world, Nigeria, does not befit them again. They want to go, that they want to leave Nigeria, they don't want to be Nigeria again. If you come to ask me too, Nigeria is too big for all of this. You are too big to be called one Nigeria. If you ask me,
we're not supposed to agitate.
No, I am not agitating, but I'm looking at it now.
Nigeria is a beautiful place. We're all supposed to be in one. I am not to divide it.
I am not.
Let's take your first statement of
we are not dividing it today.
No. We're not going to take that. Let's take your first statement of saying the federal government should have a roundtable with the stakeholders and the heads and have a sensible discussion on the way forward and how to curb this violence that has been going on in the southeast.
Wait now. See, whether you like it or not, I'm not going to say it the way you expect me to say it. I will say it the way I feel that President Bola made.
And you're not going to say it in a way that you're misinforming the public.
I am not misinforming any public.
Okay.
You and I knows very well that yes, as we speak, we are not having one Nigeria in practical terms. We are having one Nigeria just on the paper. One, the mining that is taking place in the north, our other part of the world, like the NDDC, like the Northwest Development Commission that they are having now, is it the same to the Niger Delta Development Commission? It is not. So what are we saying? We have the NDDC where senators from Adamawa, senator from Nasarawa, like the likes of Adamawa West, Senator Aliu Ahmed, that is good in issuing threats to people. Now we have all these persons looking for how to by force themselves to collect Niger Delta resources or to benefit from an agency or federal government presence in Niger Delta. By all means, meanwhile, we have a situation where an emir in the north can call the MD of NDDC and will run like a small boy and then go and respond to him. We have a case where an emir in Kano or any part of the north will call any agencies in the Niger Delta and they will start running like a small boy. So are we saying Niger Delta? And meanwhile, no royal majesty, no king from the east, no king from the Niger Delta can call any of the agencies of government situated in the north and they will do the same. So is it one Nigeria? Now if you are an emir in the north, you make a call for your person to be appointed in a federal government office that operates in the Niger Delta, and it will be respected and to be given due attention immediately. Now a king in the Niger Delta, a king in Ogoni cannot do same in the north. and then you expect us to say
why if we call that respect of hierarchy?
No,
it could be called the respect for hierarchy.
There is nothing like respect of hierarchy here. What we are saying is that we are talking about one Nigeria. So one Nigerian should be seen as practical terms, or should be seen in the practical terms. Now we're looking at it from this perspective. If IPOB in a way say okay, they want to go and you don't want them to go, and they say they want to leave Nigeria, that has been the case of Ojukwu, that has been the case of Ken Saro-Wiwa when they were alive. When Ojukwu was alive, when Ken Saro was alive, they worked together, and that was part of what they were working for. Even though Ken was fighting for the right of the indigenous people, was fighting for the right of the oppressed, fighting for the right of the marginalized people in Nigeria and all over the world, then Ojukwu was fighting that Biafra wants to go. They want Biafra, they want a country of their own.
Nigeria.
Now you don't want it, and you are the current president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What is expected of you is how you can have an holistic, like I said earlier, a robust engagement meeting.
Okay.
Tinubu is not always good in having a town hall meeting. At this point in time, what Mr. President would have done was first to release him the Kanu and request for a town hall meeting in any of the Igbo states.
Thank you, Mr.
Go for a town hall meeting, and then in that town hall meeting, you can call for reconciliation, call for how the East or the IPOBs will shift their sword and then work with the administration.
And accept peace
with you.
Thank you.
You are not doing that. You want to use violence. I don't want to go violent.
Thank you, Mr.
You want to use violence on me. You don't want to use violence on you.
No, we're not going to take that. In that aspect where you're trying to talk about, see, I made mention, I had to drop a little remark from the beginning that violence is not supposed to be with.
But the federal government use violence on them.
In this instance.
So by doing the federal government of Nigeria, they're saying that they are terrorist group when the Boko Haram, that is in the moment.
They have to look at the Boko Haram scenario. The troops, the federal government have actually appointed troops. They have put heads together in order to fight the Boko Haram. And we actually got a situation where they said they wanted to do a peace talk with the Boko Haram. And we're still waiting for... Some of them have actually accepted the peace talk.
Can I inform you, please?
Quickly, yes.
Are you aware that last year, more than 10 persons was killed in Ogoniland by Fulani herdsmen? Is it because we are not reiterated? Is it because we are not come up? Because okay, all right. Now, is it because the Ogonis has not come up? In Yokuru, sometime last year, a particular person, some family, a particular young man was killed by the Fulani herdsmen. In Eleme, precisely, particularly Ebugu, the Fulani herdsmen killed some persons there. And this has been going on for long. And even when the police hierarchy in River State was to address the issue, they couldn't be able to hold any of these Fulani men. They were not able to arrest them. They have not been able to arrest any of them. They allowed them. So
how do you mean they allowed them?
Because we make a report. We made an official report to the police.
And the police did not do anything about it.
They are not arrested. That's why to arrest them. Do anything about it?
Well, that is not a topic of discussion. I'm really sorry about that. We're actually trying to talk about why.
It is still a terrorist group now.
Yes, we are trying to get why the
so they are still part of the terrorist group. That should be seen as terrorist group. So they can be given that attention as terrorist group.
Okay.